was always an anxious child. I recall home time in primary school, and whilst every other child was jumping at the thought of going home, I dreaded it. Because every day, 5 times a week at 3 o'clock, I would convince myself through and through that whoever was coming to pick me up from school that day wasn't going to show up. A brief explanation of objects' permanence. In a time between a baby being 4 to 7 months old, they develop a sense of object permanence. They begin to understand that people and objects still exist even when they're out of sight. However, when a child is between 8 months and a year old, they struggle with this idea a little more and begin to become very uncertain about being separated from a parent or a carer, despite the fact that they're becoming independent toddlers at this stage. This is usually when separation anxiety develops and children become distressed when it's time for their parent or carer to leave. While this is a scary stage in children's lives, they get over it eventually, and through being in situations where they are away from their parents or carer, they become more confident in believing they will return. I struggled with this belief. I struggled with it a hell of a lot. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't spend every waking moment with my parents, and I didn't become exceptionally upset at their leaving. In fact, my parents weren't home often as they travelled a lot for their work. At this time, my brother and I were too young to look after ourselves, and so every year our family would choose an au pair to come live with us for a year and look after us while our parents were away. I loved these au pairs. They were the big sisters I never had. And so life went on. Primary school, play dates, and even holidays away to lie on Spanish beaches or ski down French mountains. I was happy whether my parents were at home or not. Life was as easy as it could be for a child. A white child of my privileges. Sorry. However, the anxiety was still there. I just didn't know what it was or whether anybody else felt the same way. There would be slip-ups here and there. I still worry at home time, even when my parents would spend hours trying to convince me there would always be somebody waiting for me. But alas, she's only a child. She'll grow out of it. Things slowly went downhill from there. Through the ages, I found more and more things I was completely opposed to. I didn't like being alone. I didn't like small spaces. I didn't like lifts, I didn't like not knowing where I was, I didn't like trains, and I didn't like planes, and I didn't like not having house keys on me. I didn't like not knowing where my parents are, and I didn't like going to school. A piece of sound advice on mental health by somebody who's most likely never experienced problems with their own. A piece of advice you often hear is, listen, don't bother getting a diagnosis. As soon as you know there's actually something wrong with you, as soon as you know you've actually got it, the more you need to worry about it. If you never get a diagnosis and you never know you've actually got it, there's basically nothing wrong with you that way. You're practically cured. Oh, well, shit. That's me cured. Have you alerted modern science of this amazing discovery? Jim, tell the psychiatrists they're fired. Jim, tell them they're fired. Of course, this is complete bullshit. Yes, ignorance is bliss until it's 3 AM and you're clutching at your heart, completely convinced you're having a heart attack and struggling to breathe. And now this happens tops 3 times a week. Maybe you're going to want to know what the hell is wrong with you and why your body keeps doing this, and find some sort of, I don't know, medication to help stop this, or at least find some way to breathe again. To be fair, I get where you're coming from, but you have no idea where the person you're talking to is. Mental health is not like a cold or chicken pox. You can't just ignore it and hope it'll get better in time. It won't just disappear if you avoid saying its name. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. If something is wrong, if you can't quite do something you used to be able to, if something hurts you in a way you know it shouldn't, you should go get that checked out. And that piece of sound advice It helps nobody. All it does is add fuel to the belief that mental health is a shameful conversation point and is something that should never be discussed and instead should be something that many, many people suffer in silence with. I'm not going to lie. I just like talking about my own mental health, and I'd like to say it's not because I find it shameful, but I'd be lying. I think a big part of me is afraid of coming off as a special snowflake, but that's not the case. As much as I preach that different is good, that being myself and open and honest is the way that I want to be, I'd give anything to be normal. I know there are very few people out there that don't struggle with something in their lives in one way or another, and I know that I could have it a lot harder than I do. Believe me, I do. I know that me being anxious over daily activities doesn't equate to homelessness, starvation, or many physical health problems. I know this. And I know to many that this is selfish. But personally, this is my biggest struggle, and I can't count on two hands the number of times that my life has changed for the worse because of this. I'm at a time in my life where I should be the freest I've ever been. I'm 18. I'm out of high school. I can drive. I'm about to start university again. And yet I'm stuck. I still think twice when somebody asks me to go somewhere. Once, if I want to go, and twice, if I can actually handle it. I'm 18 years old and I still don't like being alone. I don't like small spaces. I don't like lifts. I don't like not knowing where I am. I don't like trains, and I don't like planes. And I don't like not having house keys on me. And I don't like not knowing where my parents are. And I don't like going to school. Alas, I'm not a child anymore, but I never grew out of it.
I don't really know what I was doing when I started this whole thing, but I think I have quite a good idea now, better. But second of all, I want to just document more of my life. I want to sort of capture more, and a part of that is getting better with my anxiety. I know anxiety is something a lot of people struggle with, or just anything really. Everybody struggles with something, and I want to document that because I know that watching other people get better helps me feel like a lot more positive about my situation. Not that I'm out here to like help the masses, that's not what I'm trying to do, but if it helps somebody, then good. But ultimately, I need to get better. I'm doing it for me, but whatever. Yeah, I hope you liked this. I don't know what next month's will be. I'm still trying to figure it out. I've got some like ideas and such, so yeah. Okay, I hope you liked it. And if it was late, I'm sorry it was late. Okay, bye.